Sorry about that, gentlemen. I had a house interruption I had to take care of.
It's fine. We're just sort of talking with the chat.
Was anything funny said?
We called Byron honorable.
That was pretty hilarious.
We all said the power basically at once.
The power.
Also, apparently a lot of people in the chat really like the Anarchs just from their vibe. I will admit, when I played Bloodlines the first time I played it, I'm like, I'm gonna join the Anarchs.
I mean, come on, Nails there, Nails Rodriguez, he handled a werewolf all by himself, right?
I mean, he got fucked up afterwards, and that's gonna take a shit ton of blood points to heal, but yes.
No, he handled a werewolf all by himself. Totally didn't have help from anyone.
Totally
Yeah.
didn't.
If a coterie handles a werewolf, that's awesome. If a guy handles a werewolf, you presume he's lying unless he's nice, and then you shit your pants because he handled a werewolf by himself.
Well, he can't lie, because the head of the werewolf's right next to him.
I mean, in all fairness, I mean, he certainly has a much friendlier attitude than the fucking prince does. That's for damn sure in that game.
Well, I think that was from the get-go, and you only ever see one Sabbat, powerful Sabbat man in the entire game, or like two.
Yep. And if you're Tremere, he fucking hates you.
Yeah, I was pretty much explaining to the chat that the Anarchs, well, in general, are the nicest sect. They can still just be as big of assholes as the other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you rate, sorry.
I was just going to say, I wanted to join Smiling Jack's faction. We could be a faction of 2.
3.
Oh, is there
4.
a third one there? All right.
Alright.
Kane.
4. Kane,
Okay,
Smiling
yeah.
Jack, and that corpse.
Yeah, they're in the very end, yeah.
If the prince opens the sarcophagus and he just starts laughing madly.
Too bad Smiling Jack's on the East Coast at this time, the West Coast at this time.
Alas, along with that anarch-free state over there in California. At any rate, you all begin the slow process, trudging through the heavy rain and fucking wind. It hasn't stopped at all the entire day or entire night. Jermaine's basically, it was up at dawn. As soon as he commissions the ship, charters it out, it starts raining. Now we're here, starts raining. Fantastic. You all end up arriving at the boat. And as you slowly begin your approach, certainly though, Marcus is feeling, starting to have that uneasy feeling creep up inside of him. And it certainly doesn't help that you all get to the boat. And as you're approaching it, you notice something interesting in the sand. Not an enemy or anything, but you peer closer. Marcus is the first to notice this, sort of tilt his head with his heightened senses and just hope it doesn't strike lightning. Looks down. It seems as if there's a little point on this entire...
Punch it. Punch it right in the mouth.
No, I have to pick this one up, god damn it.
You should backhand that phone's mouth clean off.
In all Anarch game, pretty much though, in all Anarch game would pretty much be played the exact same way as a Camarilla game.
Yeah, it's really just different people in charge. Maybe a little bit less coterie based, like backstabbing. They'd be maybe a little more meshed. Simply because you don't actually stick with people. With the Anarchs, you don't actually stick around with people unless you mesh. There's really less.
But even then, you're competing with other neonates for power.
The real point is there's less hierarchical politics.
There's still politics. It's just more like who do you know and what groups do you know, and who likes you.
No, not really. It's more about what you can actually do with the Anarchs. It's more based on promotion, based on actual merit rather than who you know. And that's sort of the general idea behind the Anarchs.
Unless who you know is also your merit because of the force you can bring about via your allies.
Right, I'm not saying it's completely
Okay.
gone. It's just...
I don't know, the Camarella's merit-based too. I mean, yeah, it's just more backstabbing,
Political
I
merit.
guess.
Phone ring
Politically
discipline. Grimith
Yeah.
must make a self-contract roll and go berserk. It's okay.
The chat really wants to know how an all-Anarch game would go, and we're pretty much like a bit the same. It's not going to be that different.
You just have ties that you different. Instead of, you don't exactly have a full-on sort of powerful leader like a prince with the restricting traditions as the Camarilla, but as Anarchs, you're pretty much really incorporated under the umbrella of the Camarilla anyway. Your only way of really escaping that is to go to a major Anarch-free zone, such as, California, which we're
And
not
even
at.
even Staten Island is
Yeah.
not that.
It's a telling thing that all of the Anarchs got swept here into Staten Island. They were originally around all of the boroughs, but after the Camarilla completely took over, yeah. Even
Yeah,
Anarchs who fought in the Battle for New York, they've been put here.
Yeah, the Camarilla kind of has a Monroe Doctrine type view of the Anarchs. Okay, yep, you're here. You're part of the Camarilla.
Right,
But yeah, back to where we were.
as for the ship, the interesting thing you spot is there's actually a little, there's a part at this beach near the ship, between you and the ship basically, where it's not raining. Like, you see a sheet of rain, and as you're walking through, it suddenly stops raining. It's a little circle with no rain. Looking down at this little circle with no rain, apparently this little bit of circle that involves no rain also has completely no wind either. And etched into the sand, the muddy sand with a stick next to it, sort of stuck in, is a rather sort of crude form of the Ouroboros.
Motherfuckers are teasing us.
Well, aren't you just cute?
I think they're more keeping an eye on us than teasing us, but maybe.
Well, I mean, when they're flashing it like that.
As you all stare at it, the water begins apparently falling onto it, and is very quickly begins to erode and wash away and blend in with all the other wet sand.
All right, well.
So
Byron
we're being
votes
followed
to
by the
leave.
Samitsi. That's great.
The water tax. The water dragon sea taxi has low check. I normally don't read the chat while the sessions are going, but that was great.
Is the tide up to the boat now, or are we going to have to push it down a bit?
Well, you're not exactly sure how much time has passed here, but it certainly is not the high point of the high tide yet, no.
Well, I mean, there's no reason they're not really worried about shoving it down. I mean,
But yeah, you all pulled it up here. You can certainly put it back down in there.
and
Okay.
I'm not worried about anyone popping up on us because I mean we just dealt with Boss Callahan. It's like go ask Boss Callahan. He was fine with us being here, so don't fuck with us at the moment.
Jermaine, you were perceptive enough. Scanning the sand and witnessing this thing before it ends up washing away, and your studious eye is looking about. You're noticing, despite the fact that it's heavily raining, what appear to have been sort of cracks in very wet. Nah, it'd just be weird. But wait, glass? Almost as if there are a few pressure points around the beach where the sand actually turned into a few shards of glass.
Jermaine's going to point that out.
And let's get somewhere safe immediately, and not take the boat because of fucking thunder.
Must have been something real hot, hitting it very hard.
Yeah, would occult knowledge work for this or not?
You can certainly try.
I will roll as well.
Intelligence plus occult.
Are we all allowed to make this roll?
If you
Only if
have
you
the
have it
occult knowledge, sure. But if you don't, then it's impossible for you to roll on this.
I actually have two.
Three,
I actually have.
two.
I actually have 2 dots in occult.
Well, there you go.
I botched.
I think I got 2 successes.
No, poor Joseph doesn't get a roll. Marcus, staring at things, you would, of course, thinking about it, there is, of course, that superheated, searing, blast of, whatever the fuck that Jermaine told you about. And, of course, you'd also think about the time where, you entered the Steinway warehouse district, building number 13, and there were some larger-than-normal divots in the concrete itself, where it was heavily cracked.
Outside of the game, I actually figured that those 2 things were related, but now Marcus, it's like, oh dear. All of this is starting to come together now. The warehouse in Steinway, the Muncie Hudson up in the Bronx, they're all related. I know Joseph and Byron, you guys weren't in, the actual warehouse, but in there was a lot of searing scorch marks that looked a lot like the one that happened to your van.
Byron did go in for a little bit, but
Byron definitely did go in for a little bit.
Okay, then I didn't remember
the
that.
scorch marks on the wall.
Yeah, there's scorch marks everywhere, and then there's there's these things which sort of look like that. So there's something that can make these scorch marks, and I'm also assuming it's something that also made those humongous divots in the concrete.
And it apparently can make a fairly great range if we're to be guessing with that the thing that fucked up my car.
Well, I don't know if the divots have anything to do with the beam of light, but I'm assuming they came from the same source.
So, who votes for not being trapped out on the water in a water car?
I say we take the boat anyways, because if they had wanted to sink us, they would have already done it.
Well, but if they get to blow us up, they win too. So, they could have just put explosives or something on it with a timer or a cell phone trigger or whatever.
Then you can look through the
Or
boat.
they could be shooting us now with their giant laser beam.
Let's just get on the boat and go.
What time is it?
You check the phone. Apparently this is the first time this idea had popped up in anyone's head. It's actually 3 minutes past 4 a.m.
What time is sunrise today?
You're looking at, you should have paid attention to that section of the Weather Channel, the same part that said, rain all day and all night. Somewhere between 6:30 and 7 a.m., probably.
Yeah, we're going to have to take that boat quickly.
Unless you want to sleep at the bottom of the Hudson.
It is an option.
It is an option.
Or we can hire a taxi here to take us to Astoria, which might, whatever.
It's your call.
I'm voting we get on the boat and go. Because right here, right now, let's go.
It
Okay.
probably will be faster than taxi.
Yeah, getting one out here I don't know, New York, but 4 a.m. we'd have to call someone, so to get one might be difficult.
So get
Let's
in
just
the
use a boat.
Have you forgotten the number?
No, it's 212-555-DRGN, but I don't know if we want to use that.
It's always been a quick and efficient cab ride whenever you and Marcus have taken it.
Yeah, boat now.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Yep, let's hop on a water dragon instead of a dragon metro.
You all get back on the boat. And I presume Jermaine is once again going to be steering this thing?
Yup.
All right, off you go into the the wonderful depths of you haven't sunk yet.
I have a question.
What's up?
Since Marcus doesn't actually have any experience piloting watercraft, what would the difficulty be for him to drive this? Because he actually has more dice in drive plus dexterity.
It would probably end up being a step higher.
Okay, so at this point, it's still probably in Jermaine's best interest to do it. Okay.
It ended up being you guys would be equal.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah, because it would be harder for you, but you have more dice, so it balances out.
okay, go ahead. Jermaine, drive the water car forward.
The water car. All right, Jermaine. Let's go ahead as you set out into the swarthy sea. Let's have ourselves a.
You're welcome.
Well, you didn't botch because the 7 counts as a success.
Move over, let me try.
All right, but all right. Apparently, Jermaine has, for whatever reason, been unsettled as he's gone out into the seas, and he's very much having a difficult time of it. The boat's rocky, and it shakes from side to side, and there's still that bit of water accumulation that was in there for the last time you all set out. You make it out a good half hour's worth of transit time, and you're not exactly sure how far you've really come in that half hour. You're actually looking around. You can't exactly see a reference point now.
Did you just take us into the Atlantic?
I hope not.
I guess keep driving.
You driving the water car?
How are you going to try to orient yourself?
Look for the light pollution on the horizon.
Okay, that seems fair. Perception plus alertness difficulty 7. And you others, should you feel so inclined to try to help Jermaine, can roll this as well. It's sight-based.
Aha, so difficulty 5.
Yes.
3 successes.
Right. And it appears that Jermaine got some as well as Krypsyn. Hurrah! And Byron. And even Joseph. Alright, so all of your successes combined together. The 4 of you can sort of agree. It's very difficult to see, but there are traces of where land can be a being. Apparently, Jermaine just ended up getting just out a bit too far with the steering of the vessel. The waves ended up pushing him south more than anything else. But you've reoriented yourself with all those successes combined. And you notice you really didn't make it that far from Staten Island. You sort of went more south, so if you guys were heading towards the Great Kills Park, that'd be great. But you're not.
Not to rush you or anything, Jermaine, but... Hurry up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if we can be sure of whether we're going to sink or not soon, that would be great.
Alright, with 3 successes then, as the difficulty was increased to 8. With that, Jermaine manages to focus again and regain control of the vehicle and make steady progress with the boat, despite it teetering a bit. And you're all nerves sort of shaking a bit. Even Jermaine sort of like, well, these guys die, how are they going to reimburse me for anything?
Seriously.
You've actually made a considerable amount of distance. You're definitely under Queens now, but definitely an hour's passed, and you are very much in 5:30-ish territory here. Go ahead and make another dexterity plus drive difficulty 7. Unless you'd like to try to fire up the boat to make it go faster.
Make it go faster and spend willpower.
I will do that.
Yeah, go for it. All right.
I'm increasing the difficulty to whatever, spending some willpower for automatic successes. Should I roll?
Nah, we'll go ahead and say you spend 1 point of willpower. And with an intense focus and determination, Jermaine fights through the bullshit, and, the flashbacks to horrendous war stories and people getting lost at sea and bad things going wrong and vampires exploding into pixie dust at daybreak.
And nah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, it ends up being 6 o'clock by the time you all reach Breezy Point. And as you end up pulling up in the harbor, it's an interesting thing. During this final bit of the trip, perhaps aiding you with your quick speed, the rain's actually begun to let up. Which is nice, because it's been nearly raining for fucking 24 hours. Still that icy, bitterly cold rain that perhaps you needed the willpower point to spend also because you're shuddering and shaking so much and it's difficult to stay warm.
Seriously, it's goddamn cold out here.
I'll take your word for it, Jermaine.
I'm gonna go get some coffee after I drop you guys off. Need something warm to drink.
I think my haven is closest or the most direct route over the 678. I mean, we only have time to reach one, I bet, if that.
Well, and take a look, of course, from the, you're currently at Breezy Point where Jermaine's car is right now, and you can take a look to see, perhaps what, Jermaine, the driver, might think is the closest spot for him to reach.
So who's gonna get dropped off first, and who are and which of the two are you? Basically, who survives and who doesn't?
Yes, that is the only extreme acceptable, of course.
If we all come to mind, y'all know where my place is. I mean, we also all know where Marcus's is too, but that's a whole nother matter.
I'm actually gonna leave it up to you guys.
Yeah, my place, please, now.
Yeah, Byron's going to go with that because he said, well, maybe Leslie Cutter will show up there. Maybe.
Sure, I guess I'll sleep.
That's actually a good time for Jermaine to bring up another point. I mean, clearly we're going there, so we're loading up in the car, so he's going to discuss this in the car, but he's going to ask if any of you know where your fourth coterie mate's haven was.
And I can answer that now, absolutely not.
Exactly. Because, I mean, what if she found that she could be there?
If she's there, she's probably been there for a while, so that's not a concern right now. Can we please get to somewhere where we're not going to burn to death?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm discussing this while driving.
Heater's on full blast.
Eyes on the road,
Heater is
please?
on full blast.
Okay.
I just wonder how the heck she would find it. That'd be a cool story.
At any rate, how quickly would you like to drive? Would you like to follow speed limits? I mean, although the rain has lightened up considerably, the roads are still very slick. Would you like to drive cautiously? Would you like to go beyond the speed limit? How far would you like to go beyond the speed limit?
I'll take the speed limits as polite suggestions and spend a point of willpower.
Okay.
For driving.
Let me go ahead and just roll this seemingly innocuous die. Okay. You end up spending another point of willpower, and your car rather handles the trip well, although there's a point where it almost threatens to bog down due to just after 24 hours of, chilling rain, it really does seem like it's completely drenched even the concrete jungle itself. Like the sewers are threatening to burst out the water. It's like, holy fuck, these streets are hard to drive through. Still, you managed to make it with a good time. There are definitely some points where you end up getting slowed down, but your determination and focus and the heater on full blast combine together. There are definitely situations where You've encountered some early morning traffic out here. You know, it being past 6 a.m. now and everything. But you managed to keep focused, and thankfully enough, for whatever reason, perhaps the stars have aligned, you encounter no government officials like police officers. You reach Flushing with about, you reach the church rather with about, say, a good amount of time. Maybe you've got, looks like to be about 6:16.
Do all of you want to get let off here?
I don't know how long
As
it's
soon
going
as the car comes, anywhere near a stop, I'm out of the car and straight inside.
I don't know how long it's going to, I don't know when the sunrise is, and I don't know how long it's going to take you to get to my haven. I'm just going to go and fall asleep in his crazy room or whatever it's called.
Byron will do the same because, yeah, he figures, well, January. It's probably not sunrise for a while, but he's still going to go in.
Dibs on the bed.
The
Byron,
very
you can get-
shuddering and cold Jermaine is left alone in his car, drenched and soaking wet, with mud all over everything, and sand, because that was tracked in too.
Oh no, fuck that, I'm going to the church. I bet that Craig or one of the other ghouls has coffee.
I'll tell one of them, take care of him. He just
Fucking
saved
kidding
me
me.
from turning to ash.
Alright. And so the day will end, and what will the characters be talking about amongst with each other, perhaps, and like other plans and things they discussed in the boat and in the car on the way here, beyond the need to get the safety.
So how you guys gonna plan on using that Nosferatu as a bait? Any ideas?
Not really right now.
No, I don't really have an idea off the top of my head.
No, I mean, Byron doesn't either. I mean, he's not for using David as bait either for Leslie Cutter or anyone else. Yeah, I mean, no idea. It's, I can't remember how much we told her about our names, told Leslie Cutter about our names, so I don't know if she could ever track us down even. So, yeah, we'll probably just have to wait for David to wake up.
Either that or we'll have to come up with something. I mean, we know for a fact she's on Staten Island, and we know for a fact that she knew who we were, and Queens doing this. So I guess we have to put feelers out and see if we can find anyone who matches our description in Queens.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that when she was taken out of the chapel, she wasn't like blindfolded or anything like that. So she's going to know where this church is, right? I mean, maybe I'm assuming incorrectly.
She would all. I would be fairly sure she'd know, unless she just had a horrible sense of direction, and it got lost in trying to find it and could not find it. But I mean, church in Flushing's. I mean, well, I guess that's probably church in New York's probably going to turn up a lot of results, but eventually she'd find it.
Yeah, she's had a week. I mean, even if there are, say, in Flushing, I'll say, even there are 500 churches, you could still get to, half of them within a week, right? If you're just running around all night looking for that.
Yeah, but that also requires her to have somewhere safe nearby set up and things like that. So we don't know what the circumstances is. So there could be any number of things stopping her.
Exactly.
Not the least of which being just nerve. She may just not be looking for me for some reason. My church for some reason.
Yeah, I just figured that's the primary place that she would attempt, just because I mean, who knows, but I think it would be difficult for anyone to find a Nosferatu's lair if he's not out and about and they can't track him or something. So, I mean, who knows?
That's a lot of red dots.
Churches.
There's like a corner. There's like a single block in Astoria though that has like 6 churches. It's hilarious.
Yeah, so that's not too bad. You could check that in a week easily. That's, what, 9, if I'm counting correctly?
Only
Yeah,
if you're
but
only counting the lettered ones.
Ah,
yeah,
fair enough.
most of those dots will, especially because you can't just Google it at this point. We don't have. I mean, I doubt she has access to the internet.
Well, even if she did, how advanced is MapQuest at this point?
I honestly have no idea. I could not even guess.
Phone books. I mean,
Yeah,
most
phone
of-
book's an option, but that also requires searching the hard way, going door to door. It's not like
The point is, it would take her a little while.
and that's assuming she's close at all. The closest she may be able to get is like fuck, Brooklyn or something, and just have to hoof it all the way out just to check 1 or 2 churches a night.
Fair enough. I mean, I just think that eventually this church, I mean, if she knows what it looks like, she can drive, well, if she has a car, she can drive by. I mean, it's not that big an area, but yeah, she may not have found it yet. But I think still that the church is her best bet.
Yeah,
But
that's
she might not think that.
Yeah, that's
This is all
exactly
rampant
what I was about to
speculation on
say.
our part.
Yeah, she may have some specific reason that none of us know of. Even David might not know of just searching out David for some reason.
True, but I just mean the only thing she has to go on is where she's been. So
That we know of.
yeah, well, I mean that's true, but the we've had about 2 weeks. One of those weeks, David was actually with us, right? Where she could have, but that would have been before she left. So she might have been tracking him before then. But that's all I can figure.
Yeah, and that's not to tell. That's presuming that even what she said is the truth, and she's not actually some bot fucking hiding out, pretending to be, throwing us all into confusion.
The real point is that either way, it's rampant speculation.
Yeah, well, that's all we got.
Pretty much. Nothing but speculation.
That seems to be all we ever get.
That's not true. We've had some solid leads every now and then.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we discussed. We're like, well, we have to basically get more leads and keep an
And
eye
then they
out.
all fall asleep. Because, I mean, Dawn is
Someone did point
like,
out in
coming
the
around.
chat. Someone did point out in the chat that David gave her a blood point. I'm not sure any of the rest of us did. That may be why.
Byron did as well.
Byron did.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, that really doesn't do much other than sort of magnify how you already felt about them. It's not until the 2 blood points area that they start being, like, properly bound.
Yeah, I know that. One point is just role playing only. But it may be why she chose to seek out David rather than any of the rest of us.
Well, 1 point can also make you dislike a person more than you otherwise would. It just makes you feel more strongly about them.
True. Someone pointed out in the chat, and I was, hey, that's actually, something interesting.
Mm-hmm. Also interesting to note that David has a level 2 blood bond with Marcus.
Yup.
And level 1 with Joseph, right? Didn't you feed him a little blood as well?
Yeah, I gave him a blood point.
But anyway, that's pretty much what we have to go on. Tomorrow we start putting our noses to the grindstone and looking.
I thought it was Byron that gave David the extra blood point. Or did
I
both
gave
of you?
one. I gave him one too.
No, I actually Byron said he didn't. He's not going to put a vampire in blood bond without. I mean, unless it's required to save their life or something like that, without their permission. I mean, he was bloodbound to his sire, and so he doesn't have really good memories of that. Even a level 1/1.
Yeah, Joseph's honestly not about the whole blood binding. It's about that he wants David up. David was the competent one of the group.
You could have poured actual blood into his mouth.
Yeah, but it's his both ways. It wasn't his whole reason for doing it. He didn't do it just for the blood bonding, but the blood bonding was something he wasn't going to discount.
Yeah. See, I mean, I mentioned that at the time that I mean, Marcus brought up taking to level 3 blood bond, and I said, well, if Byron hears about it, he'd definitely object. But since Joseph has your body, Byron really can't object to anything that Joseph does.
Yeah, I didn't even tell the rest of you guys about it.
Take the body.
Right.
Eat him.
Well, he is there, and I am missing a single point of blood.
I
Yes,
guess
that's a
that's
good
hungry.
enough reason. That's a good enough reason. I'm missing a point of blood. I'll eat his soul.
It's like 6:30 in the morning. I need a bedtime snack.
A little pick-me-up, you know?
So,
Real good with a tummy full of soul.
so in that case, what are your characters looking to attempt to do tomorrow or whenever?
Well, before going to sleep, I want to make sure David's body's somewhere where no one's going to snack on it.
Oh.
Okay.
I was considering to say, Byron, you can go sleep on the dead guy, but then...
How do you plan on
It might
doing
be
that?
bigger.
There's 2 vampires and a capable ghoul. You've now pretty much seen the extent. They've been in your crazy room, man.
I'm not saying like to lock it up so that they can't reach it, just so that's out of sight, out of mind.
So where?
Stick it in a closet or somewhere.
Let's put them on like a coat rack.
You make him into a coat rack. What are you kidding me? I mean, come on.
It's great.
You make a great coat rack.
David's gonna have gone everything by the time he wakes up.
Oh man.
Yes, you should sleep on the altar, Joseph.
So yeah, like what are your characters looking to do or thinking about doing or attempting to do coming up?
Marcus is going to, since it's reasonable to assume that she might, we took her back to Flushing's, right?
Yeah, you guys took her back to Joseph's church.
Marcus will probably end up, after waking up, immediately start asking around some of the businesses in Flushing's or anyone, like, in the late evening times, like any of the businesses, any of the bars that are open in Flushing's, have they seen a woman with this description?
You probably want to, if you bring that up to a group, you'll probably want to do that in Astoria and leave that to Joseph. Considering,
I mean,
he's in the middle of a Chinese community. There's probably a large chunk of people that don't even speak English.
And you might be recognized if you ask the wrong people. Remember what happened at the end of last session?
Right.
With Dante
True.
Avant.
Well, I actually wasn't involved in the killing of Dante Avant. I was actually in a car way behind him.
You got out of the vehicle and you aimed your gun at him before Byron blew off his face.
Actually, what I was actually imagining what I did was I sat in the vehicle aiming through the windshield. But if I got out of the car, whatever.
I
You
thought
were
you
gonna blow a hole through my windshield?
Yes.
Well, there you go. How about
I mean, it
that?
would have gone on the bill.
This is Jermaine suddenly out of the blue. You would have blown a hole through my windshield. What?
So, plans and thoughts for you other characters?
Byron's going to get in contact with Evelyn. He'll either call her before he goes to bed, after he gets into the chapel, since he'll have, about 20, 30 minutes, He'll just let her know he's okay and where he is.
Okay.
Because I don't think he's talked to her in like 2 days and 3 days, and she got that message to her saying he wasn't dead, but that was about it.
That said, I'd probably point out to the two that we might want to stick in pairs. Marcus and Byron, you might want to stay together for while we're searching. Jermaine, if you don't mind, Jermaine, coming with me while I search around in Flushings to see if I can turn up, hide her hair.
What do you want Jermaine to do during the daytime? Do you have any suggestions for him?
I don't.
In that case, I'm going to, get these clothes cleaned, sleep.
Take the day off?
Yeah, definitely get a lot more sleep after what just transpired.
Yeah,
I am tired, cold, and hungry, and dirty.
Have the day off. Or at least most of the day off.
Yeah, it's I guess Byron would ask same time he's calling Evelyn to see if Jermaine could check in on her, and also show her the picture of just on the off chance that Leslie somehow figured out that they ran that business in Astoria and came by. Maybe, whatever, just the 1% chance.
Okay. 1%.
She is the 1%.
New York City.
The wealthiest 1%.
She's probably not.
Alright, so what did your characters learn from this session?
Well, Marcus learned definitively that the Steinway warehouse, the thing that started all of this, is linked to Muncie Hudson, which is linked to the Dragon Cabs, which has been following them, which they know the Dragon Cabs are probably owned by the Samitsi, so he's thinking that all of this is a Samitsi conspiracy or something.
Jermaine learned that these guys really need to ghoul themselves up a lawyer to serve as their spokesman.
I thought that's what Byron was for.
Yeah, Byron has 2 points.
That's what I thought, too. No, I mean like a spokesman, like when meeting people.
Did he learn anything else?
He learned that apparently the enforcer in Anarch territory can do a fucking spiraling backflip off of a railing and land perfectly.
Marcus also, that guy is terrifying. Marcus still considers Theo Bell his role model, but this guy, Duke Wiley, he's pretty cool.
This guy.
Maybe he'd be willing to try out your bicycle idea.
Yes. Okay,
I'm thinking... Oh, are you not done?
No, go. I was just joking.
Oh, I was going to say, Byron has learned that for some reason the rest of the coterie doesn't like the way he talks to other people. I mean, he thinks he's doing fine. He's trying to get things done, but everyone else is annoyed. Meanwhile, he's annoyed at the way other people keep revealing stuff, and then he has to try to cover their tracks for him or make it better.
They don't like how you talk to people. At the same time, they're perfectly willing to stand on the sidelines and let you talk to people.
I know, and I always say, if you want to stop him or cut in, silence.
I did not.
All right.
I did not stand on the sideline. He said that before I got a chance to say anything. He's the one that cut in on me.
Leslie's a thin blood.
This is going to turn into a slap fight, isn't it?
Why are Mommy and Daddy fighting?
I noted this in the chat earlier. This has been a very catty session.
Oh, yeah.
It has. Joseph learned that not to trust Brian as far as he can throw him. And considering that he's strength 1, that's not very far.
Yes, Brian.
Yes, he has now renamed Brian.
That's right.
Because I cannot apparently pronounce Byron.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is going to turn into a slap fight that ends in dabblery.
Of course.
So Marcus, which one is Marcus eating?
Right.
No.
Have your characters learned anything else over the course of this? Anything poignant or memorable that you'd like to share?
That apparently Jermaine can be both the worst piloter of a water vehicle and the best piloter of a water vehicle.
The Arabarai are definitely targeting us, and they want us to know that they're targeting us.
Marcus learned that everything's probably going to go up in flames and they're all going to die.
Marcus has? Sweet.
No, wait, hold on. Rewind.
Again, Sean has forgotten the name of his character.
I don't know why. It's Marcus seems like such a name. It's such a name I would normally choose, but it's I immediately want to say it.
I mean, Marcus, he's so subtle. He's just subtly influencing everyone.
But yeah, Joseph learned that they're all probably going to die in fire, and it's all going to blow up in their faces because you know.
Why?
Because they get along. Because they keep backstabbing each other too much.
Well,
Now,
no, it's Byron and Joseph who backstab each other. Marcus is just sitting there watching, going like, when are they going to get along?
Well, I mean, from Byron's point of view, he didn't backstab anyone. I mean, this is actually, I'm curious, because Byron would be curious too, because he didn't really expect Jermaine to get involved, but Marcus never did. And so he's curious what you two think of it. Do you really think that those two would not have figured out what was going on eventually and then questioned us and wondered why we kept it from them, rather?
It's not that. I just think that tact flow missions are really important.
I agree, and that's why I never would have brought up. Byron did when I was talking. If you remember, I said I would say everything but that stuff that involved Leslie Cutter. And as soon as you brought her up, I knew that it would not end.
More to the point, when you go, okay, fine, you got us, let me tell you everything, when they haven't even called you on it yet.
Well, they
that
kind of
just
had. They knew we were
screams
lying.
no, they were just grinning at you.
Yeah,
that just
well,
screams of
Grimith-
guilty conscience.
Grimith, because I don't think it'll come up, but can we know if, just out of character, can we know if I had completely fucked that up or not?
Grimith already said that, yeah, that's what the grin meant, is that you had failed. And
I
that's
don't
how I
remember him
interpreted
saying
it.
that.
It
Yeah,
happened
I
during it happened during a break. Someone had asked during in the chat, and I said that perhaps the visual clues of what the characters did could be an indication of the fact that it gave it away.
Okay, I wasn't here for any of the breaks.
I understand. Yeah, it just it's something that transpired, and that would be why you missed it. Like, yeah, it could have happened. The grin could have also happened for whatever sort of reasons. I mean, the sheriff has you don't know how many neonates and fledglings he's dealt with over the course of his life. And Archon Theo Bell, that one's even bigger.
Yeah, so that's a non-answer.
Well, he was a little bit, Grimith was a little bit more certain about it in the Q&A, I think. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but definitely at the time I interpreted it as a failure.
It's possible that I'm just fucking with all of your heads like they were.
Could be.
You knew what he was going to do and was just leading to him. It didn't matter. It was just getting Byron to do that.
I certainly did not know what you guys were going to do in that question.
But yeah, the real point is, just for me, it seemed like you kind of jumped the gun on your guilty confession.
Yeah, that's
the reason I did it, and
no,
from a
I get the
role-playing
reason why. I
perspective,
totally get it. You explained it enough. It just seemed like it was still jumping the gun.
Yeah, I think that's a both in character and just a tiny bit out of. I mean, I really don't. I like it out of character, the whole playing back and forth with that. But the only thing that genuinely annoyed me a little bit is that it was just so. I never got a chance to see actually how it was going to play out. I never got a chance. I might as well not have made the roll at all. I
I actually found it terribly in character for Byron because of how impatient he is.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't in character. I'm saying that's why it annoys me. And same thing for Joseph. That's why it annoyed him. It wasn't. It the whole the whole idea of it as a backstab doesn't bother him so much. It was you gave it to them free of charge. You
Right.
gave it to them.
The only like visual information you had in character was a what seemed like a little glint in Theobald's eye and a wolfish grin that appeared on the sheriff's face. But they never had a chance to say anything more about it before Byron was like, "Well, fuck."
Yeah, that's where the actual annoyance comes in, because it's the whole giving him up and the whole concept of throwing it doesn't, that's not a annoyance, that's par for the course. It's the jumping the gun and doing it long before he gets a chance to actually, it's basically rendering the whole point of making that roll moot.
Kind of like trapping a thin blood in the first place and then not holding her and letting her go before anyone else can say anything.
Not to interrupt anything important here, but I'm actually being called away to do things.
Oh, that's fine.
Fine. We'll go ahead and continue our conversation. The rest of the chat will just have to catch it later, like they had to possibly for the last session, because we kept going after you left.
We should do
Okay.
experience before Jordan has to leave.
I'm assuming
That's like, it's not going to be any experience.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be rolled up into potentially future sessions. There's just been too little time that's passed with a whopping 2 days technically, but I mean, you all did learn some stuff, but it's come to the point where it's hard for you to really reflect on it all as characters whenever you're so swept up into this.
All right, but I'll see you guys next week unless I talked to you earlier.
In that case, this might actually end up being the first time I don't ask you all for new character sheets, unless you have experience points that you wish to spend on your own still.
No, I'm waiting for more.
One thing, I want to start talking to Marcus and Jermaine about the occult. I want to start accruing some time studying that and learning about that.
Sure, Jermaine will teach you what little he knows if you want to listen.
Same with Marcus, but I'll see you guys next week.
Take care, Jordan, as well, StreamJet.
User disconnected from your channel.
So how about... But yeah, I think that's the best course of action. I'm just going to withhold your experience points, because there's not really a good point that you all have to actually properly exert experience points into a field.
Fair enough, unless you wanted to give them to us now with the understanding that we wouldn't really be able to spend them.
Nah. Then you'd all start thinking ahead and fantasizing even more about what you wanted to spend, and that might be reflections of how well you did in the session, so they'll be like rollover experience points.
No, I get the idea.
I didn't actually think coming into the session that such a short amount of time would actually pass during the session. It's just like we're like 4 hours in, and I'm like, so they might get on a boat now, or they might change their tactics.
Only 2 days passed in game, right?
Yeah,
Byron.
only 2 days.
Byron and Joseph spent so much time circling each other that they got nothing done.
See, I definitely don't have a problem with you all, like I've said before on several occasions, taking the time to interact with each other as player characters. I just didn't expect it to happen in this way, which consequently ended up taking time. Certainly more could have definitely happened in this session. It just didn't. Any questions for me? Problems, complaints, comments about how the session went?
No, I think it went pretty good.
No, it went fine.
Nope, it's fine with me, except for, I was trying to, I'm sorry about getting hung up on the bridge thing, but I just was really trying to get my point across, and I guess, it didn't matter in the end.
I mean, certainly, it's very fair to state that Sean's character there, Joseph, could have used his 4 points of obfuscate to cross the bridge, and with even that amount of obfuscate, he would have avoided being hit by a car or hit by much of anything. And the odds of someone being around who could actually find a way to even notice him at all would be extremely unlikely. The problem is that he ends up being the only one there.
And he still gets fucking rained on.
Yeah. That said, I think it was pretty in character for the two people fighting well, but also just as a note, I think Byron probably would have much more liked to be there, wouldn't he have?
Do what then?
I think Byron would much more like to be there too. I mean, if Joseph had gone off on his own and just done it on his own, things would have played out significantly differently.
Right, and actually and I'm going to admit this, I was metagaming a little bit on this. I mean, it was definitely in character. Byron didn't want to get on that boat. He didn't think it was safe, and I just went with it because, whatever. But, and that's what I was going to I was just going to say, okay, you can go alone, and that way you could have talked to Boss Callahan alone because you had your own agenda you wanted. Once Byron was there, yeah, he wasn't going to let Joseph go in alone at all. But if the only safe way to make contact was to send Joseph, Byron would have grudgingly accepted that fact. If that makes sense at all.
Yeah. Reflecting on some of the dice rolls that I won't fuck with you with, you certainly had a chance there to have Boss Callahan admit it himself. It's just that you weren't persuasive enough that he just wasn't trusting enough of anyone other than Joseph. You certainly wouldn't have ended up getting the information of the fact that apparently he had sent someone, or at least he said he had sent someone as a messenger to you all to attempt to relay the information that Leslie had left.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I failed so badly. I got so many. I got like 2 1s and 1 success on each of those. That I was just saying, yeah, I'll just call it a fail, even though you gave me a 3rd chance. I'm like, eh.
I was like, yeah, you can use your final dose of lucky for the entire story.
I found it interesting how Joseph immediately jumped to the thought that it was mind control instead of just telling the wrong person.
Oh, no, it was me. Yeah, Byron. I thought
it was Byron that jumped to that? Okay.
Yeah, it was Byron that jumped there.
Yeah, the
Joseph...
reason why is the way it seemed to me is that someone may have used that dominate level 3 thing, and I actually wanted to use it with Byron to see if I could see what the old memories were. I just misinterpreted it. No big deal.
Well, I mean, it still could have been. There's no reason someone can't...
It still could have definitely been a situation where his memories were altered.
Yeah, it still might have been that. I'm just saying I find it interesting that that was his first thought.
Yeah, it was Joseph's. Joseph's was really anything could have happened. He has no idea. He wasn't. All he knows for sure is that it wasn't in contact with him.
Yeah, well, even in character, Byron just learned this nifty new thing he can do, toying with people's memories. He wanted to try it out.
Yeah, that probably would have been a no-go.
I mean, you could have perhaps tested it out if you had brought it up and asked. I give you all ample opportunity to interrupt the non-player characters at any point and do what you will.
Yeah, well, Byron brought it up and it was shot down, and so he just didn't. I mean, it's like, whatever. I mean, yeah, he would have pressed it if it had gained any traction, but it didn't, so he just let it slide.
It would have been interesting if he had decided to go for that when asked what they should do with him.
Yeah, at that point, he was actually going to just let Joseph take point on it because, I mean, Byron just wanted to witness what was going on because he wasn't sure what was going on in Joseph's head. But, I mean, he said like 1 or 2 things, and it was obvious that Boss Callahan doesn't like Byron very much. I mean, he kept frowning and scowling at him. So he's like, fine. Whatever.
It's certainly possible that a lead was lost there, and a potential ability for Byron to, in-game, use his new discipline, or new power of discipline.
Possible. I mean, I could have forced it. I was kind of curious, because even if Byron couldn't find anything out from it, he could tell if someone that's more powerful and dominate used it, or I think I don't know if actual generation takes effect there, but I know if like someone uses 4 dots, he couldn't do anything with it. It'd have to be someone with fewer, which he might not have been able to see anything because nobody has fewer that can use that ability. I think it's fewer.
I honestly don't know how Joseph would react to that. I'd have to. That would have to be a very touch and go thing of whether he'd say, well, the information's probably very good, versus Byron sticking his nose into things, especially so pissed off at him.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that all was going through my mind as what Byron would do, and he definitely did not want to take a front seat to this because, you know, he failed, you know, big time with his with those 2 big failures before, which would have just been one big failure for him, and so he was a little cowed at that point.
You certainly took an interesting route to get to Staten Island, though. All sneaky-like and everything.
There was just so much that could have gone wrong with the bridge.
That's true. And there's so much that could have gone wrong with having to take such an extended trip across the water in the heavy rain
Oh,
and
that's
wind.
true.
Well, I actually did. I thought of beforehand that if anything, you can always just swim to the bottom of the river.
Yep. And if you guys had actually decided to like leap out of like the boat and swim to shore instead of like actually beaching the boat, that would have been a whole bucket of hilarity. I was thinking, so in my head, like at least dexterity plus athletics difficulty 8.
Oh yeah, that's besides the fact that Byron didn't want to get wet. Yeah, that was going through my head too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I would be spending blood points if you did that. I was like, all right, 3 blood points to Dex. We're getting ashore.
You can't drown. I mean, Jermaine's the only one who threatened drowning, but you can certainly not go where you want to.
Right.
Like on the sharp, pointy rocks.
Or out into the Atlantic.
Yeah, but if you go out into the Atlantic, you can always just swim back. I mean, and if you can't swim back, you can always just swim down. That's really
There's a bloodline of Gangrel that tries to spend their entire unlife down in the layer where sunlight doesn't penetrate.
Yeah. Oh, oh shoot, didn't even do that. Yeah. By the way, it says here that yeah, it's you can only see if memories have been altered and bring back the true ones if you're the same level or better at that. So it would have had to be 3 dots dominate and nothing better than that.
Well, in fairness, given the relative power levels here in New York, that I don't think 3 dots would have been a hard
Well, unless
cry.
you changed it, I mean, that's what Valentine had. So, or he had 3 dots and something, maybe not dominate, but it was like presence or something. I can't remember.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I kind of purged that from my memory, but I just remember 3 dots was the highest I think he had. I could be wrong.
Speaking of mind control and telepathy, I think it would be terribly interesting to play as a Tremere and invest very little in actual thaumaturgy.
If you did that, you would probably be written off as a failure.
I know. I'm just saying it would be terribly interesting.
I would, if anyone ever tried that, I'd probably have you put in a situation where you either need a really good explanation or your sire might be your enemy and might actively seek to work against you for how humiliating you are.
I could totally buy that.
The Tremere with no thaumaturgy.
Oh no, I'm not saying no thaumaturgy.
I know.
I'm saying like it takes a sideline to dominate an auspex.
I was just going to ask, is what I knew was dominant. I didn't know what the third discipline was.
Yeah. That's why, one of the, I mean, no one likes to be around Tremere anyway, but Nosferatu certainly are like, no, I'm good.
Because they can read your mind, they can see through your invisibility, and they can tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's like, how potent is his blood? Let's find out. Seems like 8th generation to me.
Yeah. And that whole thing there where they can tell whether or not you have committed diablerie any time in the past.
Even going further beyond the whole, there's like a merit, the hidden diablerie thing that you can choose, which allows you to hide it from your aura. But that doesn't mean that thaumaturgy is affected by that too. There are means by which it can be detected.
There's always ways around everything.
Which is why the Tremere are basically so hated and reviled.
Well, I mean, the Tremere can also do things like temporarily raise their generation by 3.
Yup.
Because fuck you.
Because fuck you.
Yeah, and that whole thing about how they gained their power to begin with, I think grates on a few elders as well.
Oh, certainly. How the Kabbalah mages and Tremere diablerized Solot. They had some difficulty with figuring out how to make their magic work, on account of magic not working, unless you're mortal, unless you're human, but they managed to make it work just fine. But yeah, the Tzimisce to this day, as I'm sure you'd get it, particularly if you play Bloodlines, still revile and loathe the Tremere. Which, perhaps it's for the best that there's no Tremere in the party.
I think you actually see a lot of that in Redemption, don't you?
I don't think so. There might be some sort of the attitudes involving it, but because, Kristoff is Bruja, and there's no Tremere that joins the party at any point in time, I don't think,
No, but there's that entire, there's an entire arc where they're dealing with the Tremere directly.
Of course,
when the guy gets turned into that gargoyle.
Yeah, that's, certainly the hatred towards the Tremere are covered. It's just not like the Tzimisce's attitudes and utter revulsion for the Tremere. But the fact that the fact that the Tremere were, horrible folks who, cheated themselves into this unlife, regular newcomers and novices with their horrific magic, certainly.
Okay.
That said, I'm happy I might actually get to use one of the merits that I've had since the beginning that's never come up.
What?
My languages.
Ah.
Both the major Chinese languages, Cantonese and Mandarin.
Certainly.
Just
Cantonese.
Don't expect me.
Go ahead.
Just expect me to pronounce anything even close to what it's supposed to be pronounced as.
Cantonese is really not spoken outside of Hong Kong.
True,
Yeah,
it's.
I wouldn't even call it a major Chinese language. It's a Hong Kong language.
True, but a lot of immigrants to America are from Hong Kong. I mean,
That's true.
In
Well,
America, they're the major Chinese languages.
It's different Fuzhou province, and they speak Fuzhou there, and that is very related to Cantonese. You're right. I mean, it's Southeast China. Same thing.
Right. I'm talking about in terms of in America, not in terms of China, because
I am too.
we're not in China.
I mean, anytime you go into a Chinese or Japanese restaurant, 90% of the time, those people working there are from Fuzhou. I know a guy that ran a restaurant, and he says that most Chinese folks are from that province. He could be wrong. Maybe it's only this region, but I don't know.
It probably is. Depending on where you're from,
place.
it affects where you're likely to settle in the U.S.
Right. It really changes from place to place. Like New York's very much mixed between the two. between, well, all the different areas.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I say, Cantonese and Fujo are they're very close related. They're much more closely related than, say, either in Mandarin. They're both very different than Mandarin.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now, Sean. Your language skills in this regard, combined with your enchanting voice, as well as your pleasant demeanor, and the fact that people will recognize your name as an important member of the community and what you do for people, it's going to be an automatic success for you. No one will have recognized or seen Leslie Cutter around there in Flushing Queens at all.
Well, at least we can count that out.
Yeah, I mean, you're such a pleasant person to be around for the lick sticks there, and they'll know you, just recognize you for how awesome and great you are, and your voice will put them at ease. Yeah, you can connect with them thoroughly. They have certainly not seen her. Your character will still end up spending some time doing that and investigating, but yep, I'll just let you know right now, you're free and clear with that, not a problem there.
Yeah, well, that makes it very difficult to figure out where she may have gone. I mean, because that leaves somehow finding David's haven, which I don't
Yeah, good
rate
luck
it.
with that.
Yeah, I just don't think that's highly possible. I mean, if she can find it, then whether or not she's a thin blood is almost irrelevant because, dang, she got skills. So,
I don't think that David would have ever even mentioned that he had built it inside of an abandoned subway station.
Yeah,
right.
if she can find it, it doesn't matter. She's well safe. There's no one that can touch her.
Exactly. I mean, that would have been without anyone going to and from that haven because David's been in Torpor. So, I mean, that's just like out of the blue to say, hey, man, this random dude I met once, I kind of want to find his hidden house, Yeah.
Well, you're discounting the possibility that she only found where his haven might be after David went into Torpor. It's possible at some point that over the course of the past chapters, David simply failed to perceive her.
It's true. He doesn't have Auspex.
Yeah, it depends because I guess she could have left the island. But
Well, I mean, there's a difference between, I'm going to explain this right now, they don't keep track of what you do over the course of every night. I mean, it's more along the lines of you're granted asylum, just like you're granted leave by the prince of a city to come and go as you please so long as you follow the traditions. There, it's not like there's not someone trailing her at any point. She can still go about her business and do whatever she wants.
Yeah, I just meant, well, I mean, I see your point, and I agree. I mean, if she could, definitely if she could get by the bridge without causing any trouble and all that type of stuff, then sure.
Or just walk across the bottom of the Hudson.
True. She could have done that too. So
on a much calmer night.
We also don't know what her abilities would be. We don't know what her clan is, or if she's clanless, or anything like that.
We do know that she has a whole ton of strength, but she might have enough Auspex that she can just see David. David is not the obfuscated-ist person in the party.
Right. Yeah, well, we know she has strength or was putting a blood point into strength each turn or whatever. She could have been doing that.
She most certainly would not have been spending her blood point on
I just
that.
thought of that. So.
Yeah, so she's probably something with potence, which has a number of things, but is also, I think, clanless. So
if you are clanless, you can pick basically any discipline. There's a bit in the book that talks about how seemingly extinct, extremely rare disciplines will sometimes surface seemingly out of the blue in caitiffs.
Yeah, and that's actually something Byron wanted to question her about had she not been set free. At some point, he wanted to, I mean, if she's going to be around, since you guys didn't want to kill her, he wanted to learn what her abilities were just 'cause. Maybe she would be useful. But that's because that's one thing that his sire was concerned about. This isn't even on my character sheet, but definitely about the about Gehenna and the Thin Bloods. So he would have known something about that and been interested.
Certainly things may have changed for the player characters once the sheriff and Archon were informed that yes, this woman that we let go free to the Anarchs, she was also a self-titled caitiff and thin blood.
Who knows? Maybe she's like a sixth gen Malkavian who just thought she was, and she's gonna fuck us all up in the end.
It's like Archbishop Polonia. He's like, polymorphed himself.
That's why everyone, all the Savant want her. They know she's like a Malkavian of some ridiculous generation.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is with Obfuscate 3 and dissociative personality disorder, a Malkavian can be whatever they want to be.
Fair enough. But yeah, Byron's whole intent, and you probably figured it out, was just that, yeah, tell him who it is, then turn her over, and then let bygones be bygones. We're just stupid neonates, we fucked up, whatever. It might work with them. The Scourge is another matter.
Well, I mean, you don't have to worry about convincing Theo Bell so much. This is a sheriff.
And the Scourge.
Yeah, the several Scourge. They might hear about this whole sanctuary for a thin blood thing.
Yeah.
The Thin Bloods might hear about that.
Thin Blood's hearing about it does not worry me one way or the other.
Suddenly just like tons of people flock to Joseph's church in Flushing, Queens.
Yeah, exactly.
The doors lock. There is a point of reasonability.
Then suddenly you've got camping in your parking lot. You think the Scourge is going to look too kindly on that?
Wouldn't that be some shit? The Thin Bloods have campers they just hide in during the daytime right in front of the church.
They build like a little shantytown. And suddenly the fact they're violating the Masquerade every now and then, because, they're fucking Thin Bloods who are barely educated in how the Camarilla works, all of that falls on Joseph's head.
Either that or he figures out how to make an army out of the Thin Bloods.
Either or.
An army of Thin Bloods. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing. Nothing could ever go wrong.
Well, I mean, they could be decimated by someone that's, 12th gen.
Decimated actually means reducing something by 1/10.
Yeah,
so that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, but it was also used as executed afterwards. The original usage was after the army was defeated, a tenth of it was killed, just as a show of force.
Yeah, not
actually,
even that. It was
the
all
decimation
men above a certain age, like I believe 12, were lined up, and every 10th one was killed by the Roman army.
The decimation was a show of discipline, not a show of force. It was what the Romans did to their own troops when they failed to perform up to expectations. They lined them all up, picked every 10th one, and had the first 9 beat that one to death.
There you go.
A sort of way of saying, don't fuck up or you're going to have to beat your friend to death.
Then I don't want my army decimated, my army of Thin Bloods decimated anyways. It doesn't matter, decimation's bad.
That story was most chill, my brother. But, of course, I could just be playing devil's advocate the entire time. You know, just offering out potential suggestions like, observe the broader strokes. I mean, there are a myriad of ways how Leslie might have gotten the information that, you know, just as there are a myriad of ways how you can go about getting information as well.
And then there's the possibility that she didn't get any information, and she's just wandering confused around Manhattan.
Or any of the other boroughs.
Or she just, waited till sunrise one day, and all of this is over someone that's, already gone.
She might have met Final Death as well. I bet that'd be interesting, huh?
That'd be a bitch to figure out.
Or maybe the Sabbat already has her.
I'm betting against that one because I think that they're attacking us because they think that we know where she is and that we have connections to her.
What if they're attacking you because they want to kidnap David Green and bring him to her?
That's far-fetched, right?
Yeah, I can't think of any reason that would make sense. There might be a reason, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Any possible, even remotely reasonable reason that would be what they're going after.
Maybe that's the only way to get her to work for them.
Maybe she's got what they need.
Maybe she's got what they need. Basically what I'm saying is, everything is rampant speculation. Everything. Every last bit of it.
That actually makes me think about what you said before about disciplines randomly showing up in clan lists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's... Damn.
That's something you've got to be aware of whenever someone takes an interest in Thin Bloods, other than let's kill them all.
Yeah, that's damn.
This epiphany just occurred, huh? I can see the light bulb growing.
Well, I didn't think about it before because I completely forgot. I completely forgot what clan lists get. The way I remember it is, I never really played VtM. I always played VTR. So, and if I remember, in VTR, you as a clan list, you only get a short list of things you can choose.
Well, in Vampire the Requiem, you are always of a clan. There's never a situation where you're not.
The Caitiff, however, do have a myriad of their own disadvantages as well, but it's certainly possible that in very rare cases, situations can manifest, particularly if they, perhaps haven't been trained properly, or the stars have aligned, or they had a very curious sire. All sorts of things can come together, but, the fact that the Sabbat, from what you've learned when I told you yesterday, like one other thing that Jermaine found was a Polaroid of Leslie Cutter. It could be possible the Sabbat are looking for her.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that she and those other folks may have been a shovelhead of some sort that manifested some interesting powers, and maybe they're chasing her down.
Yeah. And certainly considering the fact that I'll go ahead and give this one. You'll recall the folks who attacked you, Dante and the two others, Shotgun Guy and the Pistol Guy, they didn't immediately pursue you all into the streets trying to hunt you down. Instead, they stayed in the building long enough to search through a few things, and then they packed up in their car and left.
I'm doubtful that she's a shovelhead because what she said makes me think Camarilla. The way she called them thin bloods and things. Well, I guess they may use those terms in the spot too, but it just struck me as Camarilla.
Really? Because she wasn't really using any of those terms. She was just responding vaguely and confusedly to our use of them.
Well, she knew the term thin blood. I don't remember whether she offered it or not. I'd have to go back and...
She reacted to our use of it. She didn't seem to understand what it meant either.
That's not how I remember. I remember she knew the term thin blood.
Oh no, she just knew that it was bad.
Well, I think he said, "Are you a thin blood?" And then I think she got a little afraid and agitated at that. I mean, whether she knew what the term meant or not, she was definitely agitated at the words thin blood. So.
Yeah, she was for that. But she didn't use the term herself.
Right. I mean, it indicated to me that she had heard the term before, and it meant a bad thing. I don't know if you would react that way. I can see being confused. I'm not sure about struggling if you hear it. You would kind of say, what? You know. But yeah, I never got a Camarilla vibe from it. It was entirely Sabat. Because weren't they, now I can't remember exactly, but didn't they say that they were from Jersey, or am I just putting words in her mouth now?
No, she
You're
said
putting
she was
words
from
in her mouth.
Jersey.
She said she was from the north.
I thought she had a Jersey license.
She said from the north. I don't remember anything more than that.
I thought that, okay, you might, okay, I'll take your word on it because I can't remember it at all.
Any which way, it seems that we cannot agree on what was true and what was not.
But she likely traveled through by way of Jersey to get to here.
Right, I mean, that's the big way in.
Thinking that this place would be safer, and apparently thinking wrong. At this point, I always love whenever the players start disagreeing with each other on what happened, what not happened, and perhaps it's a little bit blurry in my head what might have transpired 6 Saturdays ago. There's always those sessions to watch if you want to sift through all the information to go off exactly what I said, but who knows? Maybe it's all been retconned and she was just a dream.
Yeah, I like it too. I actually like better not going back and viewing those things because fuzzy memory is part of it, I think, because even the characters might not remember exactly everything that happened.
What I find terribly interesting is me knowing details because of David that I can't act on as Jermaine.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more of an interesting, do I actually know this?
Aaron, you will probably remember that the Nosferatu David Green also had heard of Duke Wily as a rumor.
Yep.
How true do you think it is?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't.
Maybe if you ask the Wily Fist to ride a bicycle.
Hey, I mean, we just gotta figure out the proper material science for it. Something that can withstand the strain of, gears that are 3 meters across.
What you all spend your lives doing now is like researching various compounds.
And how to, properly distribute torque and all of that.
Screw that, I'm just getting a bicycle and adding pounding on a giant-sized gear. That can't end badly. No, really, it can't. It'll just break.
Yeah, I can't see how that would be bad at all.
It won't end badly. It'll just break and it'll fall over sideways.
So what did you three think about the characters you got to see and experience? There's 4 major NPCs that ended up showing themselves in some form or fashion.
I think I like Boss Callahan a lot more than I thought I was going to.
It's kind of hard to take. It's kind of hard to take the man seriously whenever he looks like he does.
I found Duke Wily goddamn terrifying. All the more so because he was subtle about it.
If you say so. He didn't make a big deal about it. Just actions spoke louder type of stuff.
Right, he wasn't in any big hurry to advertise what he could and couldn't do.
Yeah,
But when
it's
it came
definitely.
time, he fucking did it.
As a player, I really liked Wiley. I liked Callahan too. The interesting thing is Byron. I didn't get a chance to mention it, but he would not have been put off by Callahan's affect at all because just because of who sired him, there are a lot of people that might have been dressing very retro that he met. You know, just older vampires don't keep up with the time occasionally. So he would have looked past that. But let's see, his favorite one would have probably, yeah, I'm not sure if Byron liked any of them because none of them seemed to like him much. So leave it at that.
No, Byron keeps trying to make nice with all the people, and he's the one they all hate.
I mean, certainly the one who seemed the friendliest towards Byron happened to be Duke Wiley, simply because he didn't have that, that unconvinced stigma around him.
I just find it hilarious. Byron's making nice, and they dislike him. Joseph's the one that's actually actively planning to stab them in the back if he gets a chance, and they all starting to like him a bit. Or at least he thinks that they're starting to like him a bit. They seem to at least not hate him.
I'm wondering why Duke Wiley seemed to be getting friendly with Jermaine.
Well, they're both really scarred up and ugly. They have that in common, right?
I guess.
He just wants you for his wingman, you know.
Don't know how much he knows. He may know you, and he may actually know you. I mean, don't know how much contacts he has, how much information he has, and things like that.
I mean, it's not impossible that he might have known him from the old days. Or known of him. Just highly unlikely.
Which, if memory serves, for Jermaine might create a frightening scenario all on its own, right, Aaron?
Oh, yeah.
The old days were not good days for Jermaine.
No.
Well, that'd be interesting, actually, if Callahan knows of Byron's unconvinced statements. I wonder which way that would sway him, because he is an anarch.
Whether he knows or not, he probably doesn't care either way.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a confirmed anarch. Not only that, but he is, by basically, all the anarchs have agreed that he's the best choice to, quote-unquote, lead them. So, I mean, he's pretty much known as someone who doesn't identify with the Ivory Tower at all. And based on what comments that you've given that caused you to become unconvinced, it's not like you identify with the Ivory Tower either.
Yeah, and perhaps incorrectly, but I kind of combined it with what's the other one, like uneducated or whatever it was. I have the manual closed now, but there were two. They were both 1-point flaws. There was unconvinced and poorly educated or whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I've been kind of sort of mixing it up in my head, sort of playing it as both, and that's part of the reason too that Byron would have just blurted out that it was a thin blood, because he may not even know how awful it is to admit in Camarilla society.
It's not in all of Camarilla society, but it is anywhere that has a scourge.
Right, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Byron would know about it and would know about the scourge probably, but I just don't. Yeah, he's very ignorant on what can be said until someone tells him he can't, kind of thing. So.
It's fine. It's probably something that didn't come up in conversation between Marcus and Byron either. As for them, thin bloods are identified or seen by some as one of the many signs of the end times, the upcoming Gehenna, which is supposed to be happening quite soon.
Right, and Byron would know that, I think, but I don't. It's I don't. I mean, it's questionable if he would agree with purging them all. I mean, just their existence is the thing that's dangerous. I don't know if Byron would think, killing them would make that any better, but maybe he would. I don't know.
Of course, the funny thing is that Gehenna might actually come about not because the Thin Bloods are born, but because they're killed.
Right.
Is Byron Humanity 7? I forget whether it's Byron, right? Humanity
Yep,
7,
sure
not
is.
Marcus. Okay, so just throwing that out there that wanton murder is well below his humanity level. It's actually below just murdering. Straight up murder is actually still below all of ours at 6.
Perhaps it's
Right.
by a stroke of luck that he managed to justify, sending that vampire to final death.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean,
well, the thing is, it was also an accident, and he was trying to kill us too.
Right.
yeah. But I guess you mentioned it for like killing Leslie Cutter or something. Is that why you mentioned that?
Yeah. You were talking about how he's unsure of whether killing all the Thin Bloods would be okay, but just straight up killing anyone is at Humanity 7 is actually makes you roll Humanity. So.
All right, I'm gonna head out now, guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye, Aaron.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, it very well
User
may have
disconnected
taken.
from your channel.
It very well may have required a humanity roll, but Byron would have definitely let her die if that's what she wanted. He was firmly behind that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm just pointing out when you were talking about that's just something to keep in mind is where your humanity is because a couple of the things I've actually chosen to be doing is I'm spending every single point of experience on willpower, and I've actually been changing Joseph's character a bit because of that. I was originally going to play him a lot quieter, a lot more man behind the scenes. I wasn't planning to do any of the stuff that trying to lead the group or anything like that from the beginning. But every single point's gone into willpower, and it's just your character stats sometimes reflects your character and things like that. Just pointing it out.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I have noticed that. I noticed that your willpower rolls, which you annoyingly failed that second one, but you have what, 6 or 7 points in it now, up from like 3 or 4 to start with.
Yeah, I'll actually check right here. I've got a 6 now, and I started off with 3, I think.
I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Right.
Yeah, 3, because I spent 3. I bought 3 dots.
It was a remarkable surprise for me at the time. I was thinking in my head, my god, he's got sanguinary animism and he only has 3 points of willpower? This cannot end well.
Yeah, it wasn't an active choice. I intended to buy willpower up, but it was like everything is more important than willpower, and willpower is cheap on experience. I can screw get screwed over on a few sanguinary animism rolls and just roll with it. That'll be at the start of the storyline. He'll be really affected by it. By the end, he'll be fucking callous and doesn't care that he's eating people's souls.
Yep. Certainly, I do think the fact that I think it took into consideration since you pretty much sat out almost the entirety of Chapter 2 there based on what has happened. I was like, alright, fuck this. We're spending experience points on willpower.
Yeah, that was a lot what made me say, okay, more points on willpower. Got enough experience, more points on willpower. Got enough experience, more points on willpower.
Yeah, you almost could get another point, couldn't you? Because that's only 12 points so far. All right, right? Just 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I just need one more experience point and I can get another dot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, old man Grimith is holding out on the experience. Not
Such a Scrooge.
Shaking my fist too. I'm shaking my fist like I can expect you to see it.
Yes. I mean, I've been so generous with the whole giving 3 and 4 experience points all the time. I'll go ahead and put the foot off the accelerator.
Oh, I know. When I GM'd, I was never that nice with experience.
I just end up following the guidelines in that regard. Just, your 1 point automatically, and you know what your characters learned. I think you all four of you do a good job at role playing, and sometimes there's some great danger involved, and you all respond and survive it.
Yeah, I mean, I did look at those rules again. When is one of us going to be extremely brave? I just don't see it out of this group too much.
And in all fairness, I mean, you're all selfish creatures.
Right.
When-
Well, that's
if there
what
was-
we didn't experience. If what is it? You're heroic, or I can't remember how they term it, but yeah.
Yeah. If there was a extremely good at backstabbing someone one, we'd all have 4 experience every time. But because there's not.
I do very much enjoy how all of your characters have interact with each other, especially the blossoming relationship between Byron and Joseph.
Yeah, it's interesting how you say that you changed the way your character turned out. Mine hasn't really, well, it kind of has from stats. He was going to be more of a Palpatine-esque kind of, but he's turned into sort of a goody-goody so far, which is kind of interesting.
Great. I was aiming for goody-goody. I was literally aiming for goody-goody. And I turned into the asshole, and you're aiming for asshole.
You're the only one who stabs a human being in the spine.
Yeah, just out of blue. There was no after I thought about it, after I paused for a moment and thought about it, I was like, there was no reason to do that. There was that. I did not need to do that.
I think we, as a player consensus and the storyteller, can safely agree. Yeah, we agree. There was no need for you to do that.
The crazy thing is that that was the first time we had the Twitch up, right? Because I think everyone was on your side on that one.
Yeah, it was chapter 3. It was the first time that Jordan had streamed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember people were all mad at me and Marcus for getting mad at you.
Yeah, just for people listening after the fact, that is not the right way to handle that situation in real life. That is
Drunk driver, I'll show him.
in real life, you call the police and let them handle it.
Oh, I thought
In game, you stab a bitch.
Yeah, you stab him in the back, and then you call the police and claim self-defense from the back. Yeah, that's how it works.
Seemed like a good idea at the time, right? But of course, you all still have a variety. I'm glad that there has been a connection that's been made, at least with one of the player characters, of how, that first session, in Steinway Warehouse didn't seem so weird, and, perhaps things are coming together more.
Yeah, we actually are a proper vampire group. We're all stabbing each other in the back.
And along the way, there are other people trying to stab you in the back.
Oh, super fun.
And it's funny because I'm still wondering how who do we get up into what high position? Do we aim for someone putting up on Primogen? Do we aim for putting Brian on Primogen? Do we aim for Marcus Primogen? Do we aim to? It's just we're busy stabbing each other in the back while contemplating how to help each other the best.
Yeah, well, we each have different definitions of what's going to help everyone. That's part of the problem. And but I think that right now, Byron just wants to survive. I mean, he came to town thinking, hey, maybe he could, rise to a place of power. But he looks around, he's like, man, my business has been blown up twice. Now everyone hates me because I've been saying things that are wrong. And yeah, he's just trying to bail water as fast as he can type of stuff.
Yeah, Joseph for the past half decade has been just completely isolated, living by himself in Flushing, absolutely cut off from everyone, and now to just suddenly associate with a group, and it's just back and forth of whether, hey, this is smart, or hey, this is going to get me killed.
Yeah, I guess I'll go into willpower. Yeah, I guess I'll go into real estate. What's the worst that could happen? 4 months later.
No, I do not like this anymore. Please get me out. I did not think this is what real estate was going to entail.
This is real, all right. Now, where's the estate?
It is gone. And on that note, you mentioned you were talking with Aaron briefly about it. Is that loss of resource permanent, semi-permanent, I mean, that we might have to put work into getting it back, or, I mean, how does it work?
It's something that you're going to have to, and Byron's really the best choice, spend a devoted an extended period of time. It might be as much as 3, maybe even a month of downtime, in which perhaps multiple successes or just one big roll will be required. I might just have it be like an accumulation of successes, just to try to re-earn that resource point back.
Okay, well that's actually better than I thought. So.
It's certainly possible. It's just the amount of shock combined with the sun. It's going to take a while for the business to get back on its feet. There's certainly a lot of resources the real estate business has at its disposal. You know, a lot of things, and it still has its properties, and still has notes and documents and what have you. It's a solid blow to the business, as well as it could threaten other things potentially as well. The whole destabilization of your Astoria domain.
Right.
Plus, it's as much reputation as it is just our shit getting blown up.
Right. Some things had to be called in, which I'm sure you noticed, to have basically the news media spin itself and have a situation where no further attention was attracted to it. It wasn't a bomb. It was just a gas leak. It's no big deal. We're looking into it. Everyone calm their shit.
I'm sure none of that will ever come up again.
Yes. And of course, you have the situation where, you still have that CD with Tawata Lumea and -V written at the bottom, that gold disc that David wanted to destroy.
Yeah.
You just haven't had the time to look into that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember anything that could be useful from that, though.
Well, not so much useful, just, the 2 video files, one of which included so much details and wealth of information about David Green, and the second file ended up being corrupt, and it wasn't something that you guys had the opportunity, basically. You've been so distracted with other things to think more about it. And all the backup copies of it now that you put onto every computer in O'Malley Real Estate have, they kind of don't exist anymore.
We should still have at least one copy somewhere.
Still have the CD.
Yeah, someone, not Byron, because he barely knows how to turn on a computer. We would make copies for each person, and we'd pass them out. I'm not sure if that's what happens, but
it certainly can be what happens.
I remember saying I make a copy of the CD too and get a chance.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I just figured we'd have. Now, I don't know if Evelyn has it, but I know my memory was that Byron, Marcus, and Joseph all have a disc.
Yeah, that works. I just wanted to bring it up as a reminder that you've all been so busy. There's been so many things that have been happening. That was also a thing that happened.
Yeah, are you still recording? I don't even have TeamSpeak
open.
He is. This is going to be another long one, I think. I don't know when you quit it before. It'll be a couple hours, I think.
It's just a little bit under 2 hours ago. It'll be fine, so long as I don't let it go for nearly 4 hours.
Like last time.
Yeah, and even then I managed to encode it. It was just a super long section. Well, I'm glad then that the 4 major NPCs, from the sheriff to the Archon to Boss Callahan, as well as Duke Wiley, they all made an impact on your lives in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of like the sheriff. I mean, definitely Byron is. How do I put it? nonplussed by the situation, I guess. But I liked his character. I mean, everyone else in the chat was saying how much they liked the Anarchs, and I kind of just like the idea of a total dick Toreador. It's just hilarious. So
He's like the experienced internet guy who's seen so much shit in his day. That looks shopped.
Exactly.
How much did they know? How much were they about to accuse you all of knowing? That line of questioning never got to be followed, because before they could ask anything further, Byron spoke up for the group.
God damn it, Byron.
You gotta keep your patsies in line, for real.
And of course, you ended up volunteering a lot more information, like you started talking about your sire, and, mentioned how insignificant she was.
I actually did that a little bit on purpose because I actually want it to come out. So to have that kind of difficulty, I'm just curious when it will come out now.
I want the life of my character to be harder. I'm just like Aaron.
Well, I mean, yeah, in a way, because I actually added that in there because I thought it'd be a cool type of thing. And so, yeah, in character, I'm supposed to be hiding it, but the way that Byron is going to try to play it off, I mean, is if it ever comes out who it is, it's like, yeah, well, she kind of disowned me, and she doesn't really take part in the Camarilla, so she's not really, she doesn't really enter the equation. So, I mean, that's why he said she's, inconsequential? So, not insignificant, but just inconsequential.
But anytime Byron says something dumb, he has a very good in-character reason to say something dumb. He is dumb.
We keep coming back to the intelligence of one, in which Dave will be like, "Hey."
Yeah. Well, the thing is anyway. I don't know that any of those things were dumb. They were just ignorant.
I'm sorry, but the first thing, the throwing me under the bus, not quite dumb. It's arguable which one was better for you. It's arguable which one you thought was better for you. The whole giving a ton of extra information just because, yeah, that's dumb.
It's like when you're a little kid, like, if I just tell mom and dad everything, it'll be okay. That's what that's what they want you to think. If you're just honest with me.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. He really just thought that they would eventually figure it out. But he could have.
I think one of my favorite parts of the session was whenever Byron's like, "I'm gonna call Joseph right now. I'll get him here. You just wait." But Joseph didn't have his phone.
Joseph still doesn't have a phone. He just keeps stealing other people's.
I thought everyone had a phone except for Marcus. So okay.
Joseph ends up borrowing the phone of one of his ghouls.
Yeah, I constantly do that, but unless I specifically say it, he's not carrying a phone.
Gotcha.
That bastard. And of course, I'm interested and curious in which situations you're like, all right, we'll go ahead and separate and let him go alone into the den of, scum and villainy. Hive of scum and villainy, there we go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one, like I said, that was definitely, it had in-character reasons that Byron didn't want to get on the stupid boat, did not want to put his unlife at risk by crossing that bridge, but it was also an opening for Joseph to go in there, and because since he out of character told us that he kind of wants to stab us in the back over that, so sign up with the Anarchs and all of that. I figured I'd give him a chance.
Well, I don't want to sign up in the Anarchs and stab you in the back. Joseph, just out of character, completely out of character knowledge, Joseph really actually does want to protect you guys as much as he's PO'd at Brian. He's still, caregiver.
I know, it's fine.
Nature. He wants to protect you guys. He also wants the Anarchs to rule. He wants everyone to be free. Free.
Yeah,
And if it
Byron
ends
just,
in warfare, so what?
yeah, Byron just wants to be alive in a month. That's kind of his long-term goal right now.
Survive until tomorrow. Long-term goals.
Well, that's his short-term. Long-term is a month. He kind of has vampire ADD, I guess.
Literally, too, with impatient.
Yeah, I mean that's also part of it. Why he was getting tired of circling the issues. Like, listen. Here's how things are. Tell us how to fix it. I just want to get this done.
Oh yeah, I realized I also lost my smoke grenade. It was the only thing that would have been left in my car that was of worth when trashed it.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I took that with me or put it in the trunk of that car. I think I may have done that as well because I forgot to put it on my character sheet. So let's just say I lost it as well.
All right. Perfectly fine with me. In that case, Marcus is the only one who's still got a smoke grenade.
Yeah, I figure if I can't remember if I took it with me, Byron certainly can't. So yeah.
Poor Byron.
Yeah, I just updated the sheet to include all my stuff.
In all fairness, I mean, he wasn't the first to go down. It was David.
Yeah, it's interesting. And in fact, except for the minor infraction of not blushing a couple of times, I think Byron's the only one that, correct me if I'm wrong, that he's the only one that has not actively broken the masquerade, I think. I mean, because he didn't actually let Leslie Cutter go. He just was culpable after the fact.
Well, the Masquerade's technically just one of the traditions. It's the Masquerade is the tradition of not revealing to humans, if I recall correctly. It'd still be breaking a tradition.
Yeah, you still have a slew of whole traditions. The fact that you continue to exist without the official approval of a prince, it will always make you a violator of the...
Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know. I actually, truthfully, just me, myself, I don't know how it works because the way I was understanding it is my sire got it covered over and got like, not retroactive approval, but at least it was deemed admissible or whatever. I don't know how that affects him going to New York though.
Well, the thing is, with going into a new domain, going into a new city, you're under the prince's domain. The entire city's his domain, and a lot of the rules are very fluid. While a lot of people say it's one thing, it absolutely is one thing, it's absolutely another. Everyone says it's absolutely something else. So a lot of the rules are very fluid. But the general 100% accepted is when you go into a new city, you go meet the prince. There's no prince. Right. You didn't technically do that, so it's obviously there's no prince to say, hey, you broke it, so gonna kill you either.
Everyone Byron included, ended up having to introduce himself to Prince Calibros at some point. It's just that him being a Nosferatu, he's not going to be a hard ass about it. But certainly, every prince has their own interpretation of the traditions.
Right, and some people actually hold the tradition to you don't even step inside their domain at all without coming to them, no matter how small the domain is. Like, some people would say that our Astoria, no vampires come into it without presenting themselves to it, even to walk through it. So it's really a lot of interpretation.
Right. Well, did Byron actually get there before? I thought he came after Calibros left. Maybe I was wrong.
No, because Calibros only abdicated 2 weeks before the start of the campaign.
Okay, yeah, he would have made efforts to find him and make himself known. That's for sure.
Yeah, we were already at Coterie by then.
Yep, you sure were.
So that could have been when he said stupid things like referring to kindred as Canaanites or whatever. It's or the Canaan, whatever. Canaanites are the ones that are new.
Say,
Never mind.
I'm Byron Rand, a child of someone insignificant.
No, inconsequential. I would
Right,
say.
yeah.
Don't
Someone
worry about my
inconsequential.
sire. It's she's inconsequential in Europe. And if
What do you
pressed on
Camarilla people believe in? Antediluvians are coming, right?
what's that now?
I was making a joke. Like, what do you Camarilla people believe in? The antediluvians are coming, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He would have mentioned something about perhaps. I mean, if it came up, I mean, they don't really talk about it, but if it came up, he would have mentioned Gehenna, and he would have gotten some weird looks. I mean, it's that type of stuff. So.
Oh yeah, in the average town Camarilla society, antediluvians don't exist. They are not coming to. They're not going to rise up. They're not going to eat their children. It's not happening. Don't talk about it.
Yeah, and where in my head, where Byron is coming from, that is all they were talking about. All these, century-old autarchus vampires talking about how it's the end of times. 20 times worse than your oldest grandparent talking about how when I was younger, this was so much better type of stuff.
Now they have books they can access with an electronic screen. What? That's called the internet, Grandpappy. They can download this book with them and take it on little things they call phones. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's another reason why definitely Byron might not know anything about computers because he's been with that sire for 15 years, since 1983. And computers weren't that big, not personal computers before 1983. Sure, you'd get kit computers and stuff, but Byron wouldn't have been interested in that prior to being sired.
But another one of the traditions that'll bring up a situation is you better end up hoping these vampires the vampire you killed, Dante Avant, is Savant. Because the sixth tradition covers destruction. Only the prince or the authority acting in his stead has the right to call a vampire persona non grata, meaning that the kindred is allowed to be targeted for final death.
I'm not so worried about that unless some prince that absolutely despises us is the next one to take power, because he can always just say that retroactively.
Right. Wouldn't it be some shit if Kadira Alsmai, the sheriff, became the new prince?
Yeah, especially considering that if they were Camarilla or anything besides Sabat, they broke the Masquerade first, and obviously they weren't going to stop that, so there'd be good reason to call that.
In fairness, they never killed any of you.
Yes, blowing up our home, that did absolutely nothing to damage the Masquerade at all. There was absolutely no repercussions whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it was a warning bomb. That's why it had such a loud beep. It was letting us get out.
I'm not saying that they didn't violate another tradition. Just saying they didn't kill you. Oh, man. Good times.
So, new prince, what tradition do you think's more important? They killing us or them breaking the Masquerade?
Well, since he can't punish the folks who ended up breaking the Masquerade, he'll just have to settle for you, right?
Oh yeah, that's always how it works.
Oh, and, I have definitely made this clear before sometime in the past. Kadira Asmai is certainly one of the people who's interested in the princedom, too.
At this point, I'm just going off the basis that everybody is.
You've got Carter Vanderweyden, you've got Helen Panhard, and Kadira Asmai are three folks who are confirmed to be seeking the princedom. Byron suspects Valentine is doing so as well, and of course with the -V sign on the gold disc.
Yeah.
The possibility of Boss Callahan wanting to extend the Anarchy influence, the Sabat in New Jersey wanting to take back New York.
And all this maelstrom surrounding apparently one vampiric woman known as Leslie Cutter.
Like Byron
We're gonna
said under his
find
breath, really should have killed her when she asked for it.
we're gonna find her, and Byron's gonna get a shotgun and accidentally blow her to pieces.
That'd be some shit, huh? Like, well, drama over. End of story. That's the real story. It's not the princedom or all these Ouroboroses appearing, or the vampire, the mortal vampire hunters that are in the city, or the scourge that are out hunting in the night, or the Sabbat wanting to take over. Just Leslie Cutter.
You know what? I'm going left field here. Leslie Cutter for being next prince.
Well, now that you've said it, I have to make it happen, right?
Yes. Oh no, now that I said it, it can't happen because it wouldn't be an unexpected twist.
I don't know, man. Would you really expect that?
Neither one really worked because,
Yeah.
I say it doesn't happen. I say it happens. It doesn't matter either way.
Because I'm about to say, if I tried to pull any of that bullshit on you, I'm pretty sure at least the viewers would be going, what the fuck?
They'd be too busy laughing to say what.
And so Leslie Cutter became the new prince. Her first act was to disband all of the scourges currently active in the city.
That's actually above her. The scourges are above princes. Well, technically, kind of. They're
The prince is the one who gives the scourge, who actually appoints the scourges in the city and gives them the authority to act. Calibros.
I thought it was the council that appointed scourges. I thought it was only the council that appointed scourges.
I thought so too.
Nah. You remember the mandates that I gave you all that are still active in the city? One of them is Calibros had the authority to appoint scourges as he saw fit. He was actually chosen by the inner council to be the new prince of New York. So it is quite possible that he may have been an exception to the rule given the events surrounding New York City.
Yeah, I guess I guess you don't argue with the inner council. Whatever the fuck they say goes. So if they say someone else can appoint scourges, someone else can appoint scourges.
But they are definitely out there.
Oh well, that'll be a fun thing.
And they might be very interested in events as they transpire. Or they might not. Who knows?
You know what's horrible now? If things happen and it just happens that I can trick enough people into thinking Leslie's powerful enough that she should be next prince, I have to do it now. I have to try to lie that into existence.
You're committed to it now. So let me get this straight. Leslie Cutter, Prince of New York.
Yeah, she was just keep it on the download, but she's actually like 4th generation Malkavian.
4th gen?
Wow.
Sired directly by Malkav himself.
Yeah, really. I just went to the wiki, and yeah, Scourges, it does say that they are appointed actually by the prince, so I remember that wrong.
I did too then. Yeah, just
Yeah.
The only reason she thinks she's a thin blood is because she's Malkavian. It explains everything.
It could be the best way of protecting yourself possible. I mean, if you're known to be a Methuselah, people kind of want to snack on you.
Just pretend to be something else.
You pretend to be a thin blood, people want to kill you, but that might not happen so easily.
No, see, you pretend to be 13th gen. No one cares enough to want to kill you, but no one actually thinks you're anything worth noting.
But she's not pretending to be 13th gen. Or is she?
She could be pretending to be a thin blood.
You can certainly have the thin blood flaw without actually being a member of the 14th or 15th generations. Dear God.
Fourth generation thin blood.
Shit!
That would be the best. That would be the best ending ever. Fourth generation Malkavian thin blood becomes the Prince of New York.
I might have to make that happen. It's a shame April Fool's Day has passed. Alright guys, so, Leslie Cutter. The new Prince of New York. Oh man. Don't worry, don't worry, Krypsyn. We'll find the opportunity to plug in more of Byron's flaws into the story. It's just when you all spend so much time interacting with each other, there's less time for me to fuck you over because you're doing it so well with each other.
Fair enough.
Players over because players are too.
You know, and like I said, I certainly don't have a problem with all the time that was spent with character interaction. I was just, I'm rather pleased by the fact that all four of you struck it off together so well and have been continuing to get invested with yourselves and each other. Although I've certainly been trying to do that more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Byron is embarrassed to talk about his sire. Well, one, she's not one part of the Camarilla. He kind of knows that's bad at this point. Some of her views don't mesh well. But it's that he was kind of kicked out. He's kind of embarrassed that she kind of said, yeah, leave. You're not worthy of my time anymore. And so that's kind of why he doesn't want to talk about her. Now, other people might read more into what he's saying than that. But so it should be interesting going forward in that regard.
So what are you two expecting will happen in the next session?
I honestly have no idea. We don't have.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. But it was. I mean, it was like, okay, this girl is looking for one of your guys that's in torpor. It's like, well, yippee skippy. So we don't know where to find her because Joseph didn't see her. The best bet I thought was the church, but she hasn't shown up there. So, and of course Byron's gonna show her picture to Evelyn, but I don't think that's gonna pay off.
I'll go ahead and tell you now that'll also be a strikeout. Evelyn has not seen her. Evelyn's never seen her.
Yeah, I just figured moving forward that maybe, I mean, see, if we still had an office, maybe she'd figure out to come there somehow. Who knows? Seems less far-fetched than finding David's Haven. But hey, anything can happen, I guess.
I'm wondering if she has a reason to avoid my church. Or me.
Maybe she's afraid of supernatural symbols.
That'd be great.
You pull out the cross, she hisses and runs.
But I wasn't allowed to buy the True Faith Merit.
Apparently she picked up that flaw where she's afraid of crosses.
Yeah. I'm just imagining someone with true faith is gonna come in my church, pick up like a giant cross that I have lying around, and like just kill me with it.
There might be someone with true faith here in the city of New York. Certainly, mortal vampire hunters have a great amount of interest in the city, remaining for whatever reason. Dun dun dun.
And if there is someone's true face, I'm the.
I think Lilith is not just a fourth generation Malkavian. She's actually Lilith reborn. I think that's what it is.
So you called her Lilith the first time around. I was like, really? I wonder where this is going. She's Leslie Cutter. You know, Elsie. No way we're related to JC, right? It would have been better if I called her like Jessie Cutter. Man, where's JC? What did you say? JC. My God.
Too bad the whole Eminem name wouldn't really work out because you just have way too many modern references for that.
Right, we can't go into like crazy anachronisms here, man.
Yeah, you hear Eminem, your first thought's not Mary Magdalene.
Damn. That's great, though, that I'm managing, so basically your expectations for each session have been completely ruined by developments during that session. I'm doing a good job.
Not ruined, just, I mean, none of them were really expected, at least on my part. I think the only one where I had a fairly decent grasp of what was going on was the second session, I guess, where we went to the Metal Man, because I actually figured out from my rumor that it was probably Lorenzo that was involved, or his cadre anyway.
Yeah, ever since then, it's just been running blind.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And on fire.
Stop, drop, and roll! You guys can go at whatever speed you want. Again, you're the ones who end up controlling everything and the time it takes and what have you. I let you drive.
Yeah. Yes, we can go any speed we want while people keep blowing us up like every couple of days.
I'm not saying there won't be repercussions.
Yeah, including your coterie mates keep blowing you up. So it's kind of challenging.
We haven't blown each other up yet.
Well, figuratively.
You guys put David in torpor.
Hey, that was not blowing him up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, David in torpor. Byron's essentially, without meaning to, and he perhaps hasn't registered, but he's definitely hung you out to dry. And of course Byron's ticked off because Joseph, went behind their back and let Leslie Cutter go. So it's been fun times all around.
Hey, I called it from the start that she was going to be important, and that's why I let her go. I didn't realize that was the bad way to handle her being...
Now just think, if you guys had simply maybe not found her, or followed her request and killed her, or maybe attempted to blood bond her, or so many other things, where this game could have gone.
Yeah.
Assuming I had all these story threads planned out 6 weeks ago, which of course I did. It's like Sean said, I read your mind!
You know he was gonna screw me. You never rolled.
Wouldn't that be some shit? I never roll any dice, I just pretend and let you all know what happens.
I've known DMs like that, actually.
Like, no matter how many successes Sean got whenever he made that roll for Joseph, they were going to have the exact same reaction.
No, their reaction never mattered. You knew from the start that Byron was gonna just go...
Well, yeah, because I kind of...
Because you kind of what?
I advertised, didn't I? That said, nope, he's already said it, or something like that. I can't remember. You can't go, no take backsies.
Yep,
And
that's what I
so
said. No take backsies.
I can't remember if that's, but anyway, so you knew that if not Byron himself, the player behind him was kind of was ready to say something. So
Yeah, we definitely got the indication that that you wanted to try to stop him, but I was like, nope, he already said it. He's committed. It's my way of getting you all to act more in character and commit to your actions while being in character.
oh, it makes perfect sense.
And I think it does a better job of immersing you all in your characters than abstracting it in the third-person perspective. Like, don't you want to know what it is you tell him?
It's not that I
Yeah,
disagree with all. I'm not saying that. It's just whenever I do it, it's because I'm used to a D&D group where plot is just a reason to connect battles.
Right. It's just that the Vampire the Masquerade system is so different.
Oh no, I actually enjoy it more. I do love the role playing. It's just I never got to do it before, so it's hard for me to get into it. It's confusing.
Right. I think this session just ends up being a great example. Like, imagine how the meeting with the sheriff and the Archon would have gone had you all just abstracted things like we tell them what they want to know and start from the beginning, third person, or like your character drama, like, well, Byron doesn't think getting on the boat's a good idea, but he didn't decide until Jermaine had actually gotten the boat and we were prepared to try to sail to Staten Island, and stuff like that. All that would have been lost, right?
Yeah, like what, a couple of hours stuff?
Yeah, we might have actually made more progress in the story, right?
yeah. I'm just thinking about how the whole thin blood thing is going to play out now that Byron's opened his big mouth about it.
Everything has consequences, and saying that the entire coterie released a what might have been a thin blood to the Anarchs, and the Sabbat are apparently interested in her. While there are apparently beings that can shoot superheated, rays of light, and the Ouroboros is moving around.
Yeah, yeah. Shit, it's just been snowballing. That's the problem. Big deal.
Get out of the way! And with that, do you two have any final words for the folks who lasted so long to listen through the session on YouTube? Now that we've gone, let's see, we've got it together roughly about 8 hours ago.
Because Aaron's not here. Fuck you guys.
Works for me. Have a good night, you two.